Today, though, we have a very special guest speaker here with us today, inspirational speaker, Talli Osborne. Welcome, Talli.
Hi, thanks for having me.
As all of you know, and as I've shared with you, Talli, mental health and wellness is a top priority for me, and it's a top priority for us at MPAC. And this conversation about bullying is also impacted by mental health and wellness, because if you've been bullied, it affects that. As we all know, bullying is a major problem in schools, in homes, online, in our communities, with our children, our social circles, and in the workplace. And today, as you all know, we're in a real virtual world environment, and cyberbullying has only increased. So today on Pink Shirt Day, Talli's going to share with us how she spent her life standing up to bullies and what each of us can do to stop bullying in all of its forms. Carla's also on the line, so if you have questions, please type them into the chat line and she will come on and help you. So as all of you know on the line here, a year ago, I shared my story about how I was bullied in the workplace. And it's not so much my story that's important, it's what I did with that story. And that was that I was never going to be that bully, and I was going to do everything I could to stand up for bullying. So today, that's why we're having this conversation. And so I want to ask you, Talli, why do you think it's so important that we speak openly about our experiences, including bullying?
I think it's really important because bullying and cyberbullying is rampant these days. It's out of control. Really serious consequences are happening to people. And I just feel like I don't want to be a victim. I want to take these experiences and these negative experiences and turn them into a positive, where I am sharing my stories and hopefully making the difference in other people's lives. And I even think back to high school, and I was bullied in high school, but there were people that were bullied way worse than me, and I didn't stand up for them, and I didn't have the confidence to stand up for them. So now I do. So I'm doing everything I can to help people that can't stand up for themselves.
And I love that. And that's what you're doing. I mean, you're called an inspirational speaker, but I think you are, you're like a guiding light for a lot of people. And you go out there and you share your story with bravery and courage. And probably today you'd normally be in a school as opposed to here with us, but we get to wear pink. So we're pretty excited about that anyway. And I love your pink background, by the way.
Thank you. I was going to say, wearing pink for me, as you tell, it's my world. So today is a special day for me, in addition to being a day I can share my stories about bullying.
And you didn't paint your background just for this VLC. This is actually your real pink background, isn't it?
This is my pink room, yes. And I thought when I was going to do a virtual pink day, I was like, I usually do it against a teal wall in another room, but I was like, no, today is pink day. I'm going to go overboard. I almost did pink lipstick, and I was like, okay, that might be a little much. So
it's all good. Well, let's start with a poll to get the conversation going. So I'm going to ask Carrie to put the poll up on the screen. And the question is, have you or someone you know been bullied before? I think this will be interesting for us, because we did a anti-bullying Pink Shirt Day virtual leader chat last year, but we weren't doing the poll functions. So it would just be interesting. I've heard a couple of different statistics. One I read this morning is that 1 in 5 children are bullied in schools. That's pretty high.
That's really high.
Yeah.
And really sad.
It is. And I'm sure when you're in the schools, you probably have had children come up to you and tell you that. So it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, every single time. And they have tears in their eyes, and it literally breaks my heart. But it also tells me that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing on this planet. So, Yeah,
so thank you for doing that and taking it on. I'll just give it a few more seconds to see what the results are of the poll. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Wow. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked by that, though. I'm not shocked.
No. Well, it's similar when they say with mental health, like there's probably nobody who's not affected by it, whether it's yourself personally, someone you know, someone in your family. And
Yep.
Bullying, as we're going to talk about, comes in so many forms now.
It really does.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you share us a little bit about your story? Like you were adopted at a young age. I think it would be interesting for all of us just to hear a little bit about your background.
Of course, yeah. So I was born in Montreal, Quebec, and I was put up for adoption immediately when I was born because my parents didn't know that I was going to be born with pink hair. Just kidding. They didn't know I was going to be born missing my arms, and I actually have shortened legs as well. I'm 3'5". So they panicked and they gave me up for adoption immediately. And I went to live in a nursery in a hospital for 13 months. And that's a really sad start to someone's life. But then after 13 months, I was adopted by the amazing Gina and Ray. And those are my parents, Gina and Ray Osborne. And they adopted me and brought me back to Ontario. And my family grew and grew, and they adopted and adopted and adopted. And we ended up with 20 siblings. I had 19 siblings.
Oh my goodness.
I love that you didn't know that. You're asking me the question. So yeah, 10 girls and 10 boys, all different cultures and backgrounds and abilities and shapes and sizes. And it was a really cool way to be brought up because my mom and dad did not baby me. They did not say, well, Talli, Talli doesn't have to do chores. She doesn't have any arms. It's like, no, half of my family has some sort of special need, so we all had to contribute. And we also, really cool thing is we were brought up with differences everywhere, so difference wasn't a thing we had to learn. It was just our lives. So we were brought up with the belief that everyone is treated equal. Black, white, Chinese, Vietnamese, Indigenous, we are all equal. And that's how I treat people today, because since I was 1 year old, that was my life. So I'm very fortunate.
That is an amazing story. You're right. I didn't know. So you and I had a call last week, and you kept saying my facial expressions were telling it all. And I have a feeling, even though I'll probably hear some things I've heard before, I have a feeling I'm going to hear a lot more that I haven't. Now, you just mentioned celebrating differences. And one of the things that I watched over the weekend was your TED Talk. And I just absolutely loved your TED Talk. You're welcome to go to TED Talk and Google Talli Osborne and watch her whole, it's 10 minutes long, right, Talli?
Yeah, it's about 10 to 12.
Yeah, well, you did a fabulous job. So kudos to you. That's on my bucket list, is to do a TED Talk. So that's amazing.
It was on mine too. Yeah, I'm very proud of that. And now I want to do another one. So
as you should. So taking that segment of the speech, how has embracing your inner and outer beauty helped you overcome being bullied?
Well, for me, I want to quickly just explain my inner and outer beauty debate. So for me, growing up, people would see me and say things like, don't worry, Talli, people can see what's in your heart. And when I started, when I was a teenager and I liked boys and boys didn't like me, people would say, it's okay, someone's going to see your inner beauty. It's what's inside that counts. It's what's inside that counts. It's what's inside that counts. And I just kept hearing this over and over again. And it was like, what's wrong with my outside? You're hearing that made me feel like, don't worry that you're hideous. It's what's inside that counts. And I'm not hideous, but it made me feel like, well, obviously people see me differently than I'm seeing myself. So when I realized this, I thought to myself, we have to embrace our differences. We all have things that make us different. That's the beauty of the world. We're all different. But unfortunately, a lot of the things that make us different, we don't like about ourselves. That's what I find when I'm meeting a lot of different people. And I feel like it's a mind thing. If you take what makes you different, instead of just kind of, being okay with it or just accepting it, embrace it and show the world that you love that and let your difference sparkle. And then it makes the people around you feel more comfortable, and then you feel more confident in your own skin. And that's kind of the mind switch I did. I'm like, I'm going to embrace who I am. Instead of wanting to fit in, I'm going to make myself stand out, and wherever I go, people are going to see me and they're going to look, and I'm going to smile and say hi and show them that I love who I am. And it really changed my life, that kind of way, the outlook. it changed how people saw me and how I saw myself. So it's pretty cool.
That's amazing. And I know one of the ways that you were expressing yourself and celebrating your differences is you got into punk rock and you're a musician. And I'm going to ask you some questions about that in a minute. But I think that it'd be really great for you to share the story of when you went to university and that moment for you of when you said, no, I'm going to embrace who I am and not try and fit in.
Sure. Yeah. So growing up, I actually wore prosthetic arms and legs. My legs were kind of like stilts because, as you saw in the photo, well, you probably couldn't see in the video, I do have legs. They're just very short. But I had these prosthetic legs that were kind of like stilts that made me about 5 foot tall. And I was brought up with kind of the rule that I had to wear these, especially when I went to, more fancy functions or school or things like that. And so I went away to university, and at the beginning there's Frosh week. So Frosh week is something I would do without my prosthetic legs on because it's activities and it's fun things that I would do, like kind of like gym class. So I didn't wear my prosthetic legs. And then on the first day of school, I did what I've always done, put on my prosthetic legs, not my arms anymore. Those got ditched a while before. But I put on my prosthetic legs and I got dressed and I went down to the cafeteria and I saw one of my new friends who was actually a little bit of a crush of mine. And he saw me and he was just like, what are you doing wearing those? Like, I don't know if it was exactly what he said, but he was taken aback. He was like, whoa, Talli's tall now. Like, what the heck? And when he said, like, you don't have to wear those. Like, what the heck? What are you doing? Something clicked. It was just like, whoa, I don't have to wear these. It was like that one statement of acceptance changed my life. And I went to school that day, and then I went home and I took off my legs and I've never put them on ever again. And I went out downtown Toronto and I bought new clothes that really accented my body and my figure and my style. And I just started embracing my actual body. And it was really cool. And I felt different energy from people because I was finally confident in my body.
I love that story. I think that is just so inspirational. And you and I were chatting before, like if you can just get yourself out of high school, like it's usually so much better and so much more inclusive. And everyone on the phone, including me, and on the line here, I guess virtually, we talk about the workplace and we're, as I mentioned before, we're looking at equity, diversity, and inclusion. And we talk about that. Well, what does that actually mean? And I think your story is what it means. It means embracing who we are and all of our backgrounds and what we look like and actually feeling really comfortable about celebrating it. And what was your term? Celebrate the sparkle?
Let your differences sparkle.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So I think that is such a great message for us as adults. It's a great message for kids. And yeah, let your differences sparkle. So now I can't wait any longer. Everyone needs to hear about your musical career and how you got into it, because I know that is how you sparkle. And I know that some other people saw your sparkle. So maybe you could share a little bit about that story.
Sure. So basically, as a young person, I obviously didn't fit in. It's obvious, and I already mentioned it. And I wanted to fit inside this mold that everyone wanted to put me in, but I couldn't. And then I found punk rock. And the first time I heard a punk rock song, it was a NoFX song. And they're a band from San Francisco, California. And I heard this music and it just spoke to me. And the more bands I found and the more I would start going to concerts, I realized everyone in the punk rock community are misfits. We're all from Misfit Island and none of us fit in. And the beauty of punk rock is that you can just embrace who you are and you don't have to fit in the mold, because punk rock is just being who you are and saying, if you don't like it, that's cool, but this is who I am. And like I said, I first big punk band that I heard was NoFX, and of course I bought every album I could and started listening to this band. And I went and saw them in concert a couple times, and then in 2000 I went and saw them in concert in Toronto at the Cool House. And I don't know what got in me that night, but I said, tonight I'm meeting the band. I don't care. Tonight's the night. And I don't know, I've never really cared about meeting famous people, but there was just something in me. It was like fate was making me do this. I don't know what it was, but I ended up getting backstage and watched the whole show side stage, which was the most amazing experience of my life at that time. I was singing along to all the songs, and it was just amazing. And looking out at the crowd of thousands of people. And then after the show, we went backstage again, and my friend that was with me was like, should we go catch up with our other buddies? And I was like, no, I haven't met them yet. I have to meet them. I have to meet Fat Mike. So, we're just hanging out backstage, trying to look like we belong there and trying to be cool. And I saw one member of the band, El Jefe, walk by. And then I saw Eric Melvin walk by, and I said hi to him. And then I saw him, Fat Mike, standing in the doorway of the back, like his actual backstage room. And I went up to him and I said, hey, how's it going? Just super cool. And he's like, good, how are you? And I'm like, good. He said, what happened to you? And I said, nothing. I was born like this. And he was like, cool. And it kind of just went like that. We were just kind of chatting, and then I went on my merrily way and thought, oh my God, that was the best night of my life. And then a year and a half later, the album War on Arism came out, and there was a song on it called She's Nubs. And a friend of mine got the album before me because I had to work that day, and called me up and said, oh my God, Talli, there's a song about you on the new NoFX album. And I'm like, wait, what? There's a song about you. I'm like, no, there isn't. You're being ridiculous. He's like, go get the album and listen to it. So of course I rushed to HMV, got the album, put on She's Nubs, and thought, oh my God, I think this song is about me. And it's about a girl that is from Toronto who has no arms and legs. There's a lot of it that's fiction. That's why I wasn't sure, because I have legs. But it's about a girl in Toronto who may not have arms and legs and may not be able to do this or that, but she comes to punk rock shows and she rocks out, and that's all that matters. And I was still not convinced, because why would this huge punk band write about little old Talli? So I went back in the day what you did, and I went on the record label website and click contact us, and wrote them an email and asking, is this song about me? Can you let me know? And I got an email back from Fat Mike himself, stating that after 12 albums, it's hard to find things to write about. And after he met me, he knew I would be a perfect character for a song. So sorry for the long-winded story, but now I had this fan base all over the world. NoFX is playing She's Nubs, Japan, Israel, Australia, Canada, US, and I all of a sudden have this amazing fan base. And no matter where I went to a punk show, no matter where I traveled, I would get, Nubs! Oh my God, are you Nubs? Excuse me, can I give you a hug? I hate to do this and I don't want to offend you, but are you Nubs? Because if I'm not Nubs, it's a weird question to ask. And it was at that point where embracing my differences was all I knew I had to do, because people loved me and they loved that I was different. And this world that didn't just welcome me in with open arms, they gave me hugs and kisses, and it was just, it's amazing. And to this day, my punk rock fans online make me feel loved and make me feel like embracing my differences helps them embrace their differences and helps them through hard times, especially right now being in lockdown in a horrible worldwide global pandemic. And it's a really cool opportunity I have.
That's such an amazing story. So that was one of my facial expressions that I didn't know that story. So Talli was like, I can't believe you didn't know that story. I can see it in your face. Now you're a musician, and once you made that connection, didn't they invite you to actually come and open up for them as for their band?
Yeah, well, at first I actually went and sang with them in Los Angeles. And I've sang with them a couple times, the song Linoleum and the song Lori Myers. And then when I got my band together, my band opened for them in a bunch of Canadian cities, which was a dream come true. I can't even, it was an overwhelming out of body experience walking out on that stage and the entire Cool House chanting nubs at me. Like, and that's the thing, I acquired this amazing nickname that I had to embrace, and now I just love it.
Did they even write in the song, I hope she's not mad?
Yes, part of the lyrics are, um, I hope she, oh, sorry, I had this before. I hope she don't get mad. I hope she thinks the song is good, not bad, because we think that she's totally rad. She's nubs. So they didn't know, and that's the one thing was, did you know the song was going to be written about you? You had to have known. I'm like, no, I didn't know. They didn't know how to get in touch with me, and I love that they were like, oh, I hope she thinks the song is good, not bad. Hope she don't get mad, because you never know, because it's punk rock. The lyrics, some people who don't understand punk rock listen to the lyrics and they're like, doesn't that make you mad? I'm like, no. It says she can't pick up the phone, and things like that. But one day I was standing backstage at a Warped Tour with Fat Mike, and my phone rang, and I don't know what came over me, but I went, right before I pulled the phone out, and I went, she can't pick up the phone, and then I went, hello. And it was just like everyone just started laughing so hard, because obviously I can do all the things in the song. That's not the point. And if those are the things you're focusing on, you miss the point.
That's amazing. And so, it's funny how it all culminates together. It's that celebrating your differences, making them sparkle, being who you are, and that enables you to go out and share about that. But I know our staff obviously have some questions. So Carla, good to see you.
Hi, yes, great conversation, Talli, and fellow NoFX fan from our staff just said thank you for clarifying because they know that song and now they know the origin. So thanks for sharing that story. We also have a staff member who is watching this VLC, and probably not the only one, with their children. So they're digging your pink hair. And a question for you from someone whose child is dealing with a bully right now. And I know when you go to schools, you kind of offer advice to the kids that come to you, but do you have advice for parents and how they can help their children with bullies?
Of course, yeah. So for me, that is the one thing that's really challenging when kids do come up to me and they tell me they're being bullied and what should I do? And with parents, the thing is, parents are really awkward when their kid either, for me, differences a lot of people feel uncomfortable about. So when their kid notices me and says, Mommy, look at her, the parent's like, don't do that, be quiet, and for me that teaches that kid that differences are awkward or differences are bad. And then kids are getting bullied, and they're coming home and they're saying, Mom, this happened to me, and it's the worst feeling in the world. And I think my advice to you is just telling that your kid that those people don't know you. They don't know you, and they are doing this because they don't feel good about themselves. And we should feel sad for those people. And you should embrace who you are and what makes you different. Because one day you're going to meet people that love that about you. And like I said, those people are doing it. And I didn't know this when I was a kid, but it's so true that people that bully aren't happy with themselves. They have a hard life, or they don't like the way they look, or they don't like the way people treat them. So their only mechanism or defense mechanism is to make other people feel bad. I hope that advice helps.
No, that's great advice. And I think, and talking to the teacher and talking to
Of course,
adults.
I'm thinking pandemic time. So I wasn't thinking teacher, but yes, of course, speak to the teacher and to the principal about it. And those kids need to be spoken to as well.
Absolutely. And it takes courage to talk about bullying, and it takes courage to do something about it. But don't you think it's important that, we can't be bystanders either in it? So why do you think it's so important that we actually, because a lot of times you witness bullying. So you may not be the bully, but or you may not be bullied, but you actually can see it happening. So why do you think it's so important that as bystanders we do something about it?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I was bullied in high school, but I remember these two boys that were bullied like all day, every day by everyone. And I I only have one regret in life, and that was not helping those kids. No one did. And so now I do whatever I can to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves, because I didn't have confidence to stand up for myself, never mind those kids. And so I think it's important because a lot of people feel they're alone. They get bullied and they feel like no one else will understand, no one else has experienced this, and sometimes they take their own lives, sometimes they hurt themselves, and that's the stuff that just breaks my heart. And so I think it's really important for people like us who may have a bit more confidence or just aren't being bullied like those people to stand up for them and say, you know what, it's not okay. And if it's in the workplace, because people don't do it, if it's in the workplace, tell that person it's not okay that you're treating this person that way. And I find, with adults, it's even more awkward, because when you talk about this person treating me like crap, or this person always talking down to me or acting like they're better than me, and I've had that in my last corporate job, and you talk to other people about it and they go, oh, that's just blah blah blah, that's just Steve, that's just Sarah, that's just who they are. And it's like, that's not okay. It's not okay that they're treating people that way, but they get away with it because no one's standing up and saying it's not okay. And I didn't even do it when I was in the workplace, not until I left and I told HR about it, but that was when it was too late. So I think if someone stood up to that bully for me, oh gosh, it would have changed my entire experience there, because I was frozen whenever he did that to me. And I was this confident girl you're seeing here, but when it's happening to you, especially by an adult, you feel frozen. And sometimes you need someone else to jump in and show you that they've got your back. So, and you might change their lives. You might change their lives. You might make their day. You might save their life.
So important. I mean, there's the experiences and the moments that change, like your experience of your crush, who said, "What are you wearing those for?" Right? Like all those things change you, and it gives you confidence, because I think that's one of the things that really is the lingering effect of bullying is confidence. I know, my case was a workplace. It was my, one of my very first jobs, and I was bullied severely by my boss, and it really took me a long time to actually build up confidence after that. So
that's hard when it's your boss too, because you're supposed to respect that person.
Absolutely. Now, you don't see yourself as a victim, though, do you, Talli?
No.
Was there a moment that you said, like, I'm not going to be a victim anymore, and I'm going to stand up for this?
There was a moment. I remember the exact moment. So, besides actual bullying, as I get older, cyberbullying is what happens to me more now than regular bullying, because everyone's sitting on the internet. And my photo has been taken from me multiple times, at least 6 times that I know of. I'm sure there's many other ones out there, and put on different websites and different social media channels, and given horrible titles like ugly mutant midget, or weird bowling midget, or sorry, weird mutant midget and ugly bowling midget. Those were 2 of my favorites. And that was sarcasm. And just seeing your photo, that actually you're proud of that photo, and then with that title above it, is a little bit shocking. Then when you scroll down and you see pages and pages of just the most horrible, mean things that people are saying about you and your body and the way you look, it's shocking. You can't help but feel bad for yourself. There's no confidence in the world that doesn't make that feel shocking. And when that started happening, it made me feel horrible. And then the next one made me feel horrible. And it was like a car crash. I couldn't help but sit there and scroll. And, I'd love to stand up here and say, it didn't bother me. Those people didn't know me, but it did. And then there was this one day where I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm letting them win. I'm not a victim. I've never been a victim. I've never, ever looked at myself as poor me. Why did I get the short end of the stick? I've never looked at my life that way. Why am I letting them do this to me? And I thought, you know what? this is out of control. If this is happening to me, it's happening to so many people. I need to stand up and I need to share my story. And I need to tell those bullies it's not okay. So I went straight to CBC and I pitched them the story and they loved it. And I ended up speaking on CBC radio and television. And the reason I ended up going to the media this day specifically is because my photo was on a large, very popular website. And when I reported this this feed with my photo, this website refused to take it down. They said this is not against our policies and procedures. And then a week later, an even bigger social media channel, my photo ended up under a page called Offended Yet with a question mark. And there was just all offensive stuff everywhere. And that was when I was just like, okay, this is out of control, because I also reported that page and reported that post. And that social media channel said, this is not against our policies and procedures. It's like, are you even looking? It's like a canned response, you know? And that's when I went to the media, because I was like, I gave you the chance. I gave you the chance to take this down and do the right thing, and they're not doing it. And I felt like I had no choice. So I went on in the media, and we had one of the photos, the ugly bowling midget, up on the screen. And I said, there's a person behind this photo. There is a human being. And the thing about us these days, all of us, we're all on the internet, even more these days because we're all at home. And we share memes and we share GIFs, and I do it. They're hilarious. But do you know how many memes I've seen with my photo in them? And they're not nice. They're horrible. And now when I see a meme with a person's photo in it, I think, who's the person in that photo? Do they know that that meme is made out of their photo? And I always say, especially to kids, if you see a meme that's made, you know, about pizza or tacos or cats, share away. But if you see a meme that's a human being in the photo, they probably don't know that meme is made out of their photo. So maybe don't share it. And maybe the person that you saw post the photo, maybe tell them to take it down, because it's going to hurt that person's feelings. And I didn't let those memes hurt my feelings, but it sucks because you have no control. People can take your photo and do whatever you want with it. And people can be anonymous. And people just hide behind their keyboards and do whatever they want. And it sucks.
Wow. So when you went to CBC, did the websites respond?
Yep, they came down miraculously. Shocker. And I was happy. But at the same time, I was like, why didn't you just do it when I asked? You know, why do I have to threaten the media? It's silly. Why don't you have some compassion about the poor children that are being made fun of? Like there was children with Down syndrome that people are making fun of. It's like, what? How is that not against your policies and procedures? And if it is, you need to change your policies and procedures. You need to revamp it all.
So you not only stood up for yourself, you stood up for everybody else who was on that website.
I wasn't even really standing up for myself because I didn't really care at that point. It was this website that was making fun of other people and a lot of children that had differences, and that broke my heart. Like, of course, it was my photo that brought me there, but this wasn't that long ago. And at this point, I was just like, oh, here we go again. But it was the fact that, and it was on one of the biggest ones, you know, and when it's a website you use every day, that's when it's hard. That's when it hits close to home. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to ask another poll question, because it goes along with our theme of bystander. So maybe Carrie or Justin can pull it up, because you know we've spoken now about, you know, you stood up for yourself, you're standing up for other people, and you look back, you know, in your high school, and you wish you'd stood up for those two boys who were being severely bullied. So I'd be curious to know how comfortable would you be to stand up for someone that you're witnessing being bullied, and this can apply just about anywhere. I think it's important. It's an important conversation, you know, and we've talked about this as an organization, but you know, it's incumbent upon all of us, because we need to have a respectful culture. And I like how you say, Talli, like, we're humans, we're human beings.
Sorry, I was taking a drink of water.
That's okay. I'm gonna take one.
That's what people don't think about. They're just quick to share and quick to laugh. And guess what? We all have feelings, and we all have things we're not. I say that I embrace my differences and that I love who I am. of course I have bad days. I have days, especially being in a pandemic, where I sometimes forget to brush my teeth, and of course I brush my teeth, but there's days where you don't have anywhere to go, you know, it's hard to put effort into just feeling good because you're just at home all the time or getting out of bed. And luckily I have a cat that needs me to take care of him.
I haven't seen your cat come on yet to eat your plant yet, because he was eating the plant before we went live.
He's being a very good boy. I'm very impressed, actually.
Well, that's because you had a little talking with him before we started.
We had a talking, and he's very smart. He's a Siamese, and Siamese are super smart cats. So he knows when I tell him, don't mess with mama.
Yeah. He's not when she's live with MPAC, so.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, let's see the results of the poll if we have that ready. Okay. What do you think, Talli? Are you surprised by that?
I think it's pretty good. It's 78%. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. Standing up is not easy.
No, it's not. And, and that's what we talk a lot about. Bullying and the other thing we're talking about in the workplace is equity, diversity, inclusion, and being anti-racist. That's another thing that I think we all have to stand up for. And, it's not being a bystander. It's if you see it, you do something about it and you stand with that person, because I think that is, as you said earlier, like that's what they need, and it can maybe change their life.
Of course.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about pandemic and being locked up and in our four walls. And you are an extremely positive person. I know we were chatting before, like we're all human, we have our ups and downs and so on, but you wouldn't share with me before because you wanted it to be live. But how is it that you keep yourself, how is it you keep yourself positive?
Well, it's funny because the what I was going to tell you has nothing to do with the pandemic, but I'll share two things. So what I was going to say to you, a lot of people ask me, how do you stay so positive? How do you get yourself out of a bad mood? And my answer to that, pre-pandemic, let's pretend there's no pandemic right now. Pre-pandemic, my answer was, I'll focus at the, well, I guess now it works too, but I focus on the light at the end of the tunnel. So maybe today it's dark. Today's a dark day, but on Friday, I'm going to go to see a concert. And that's the little light. And maybe it's 5 days away, or maybe in a month, I'm going to California. That's what I mean. Pre-pandemic, these things could happen. So, I'm going to California, and maybe life's going to be a little bit ups and downs and maybe a bit dark until then, but I have something to look forward to. And this week I was looking forward to this talk because I was really excited about it. So even in a pandemic, there's things that I look forward to. I look forward to live concerts, and I look forward to having video chats with my friends. So I do really visualize a dark tunnel with a tiny little light at the end. And depending on how soon that thing that's going to make me happy is coming, the light gets brighter. And if it's really far away, it's just a twinkle at the end, but I know it's there, and I know that there's brighter days ahead. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, especially from a punk rocker, but it's really what gets me through it. I picture that light, and I do try and surround myself with good people and try and, again, pre-pandemic. I'll talk about the pandemic in a sec, but I do try and do fun things and things that make me happy. And back to the pandemic, I was having a hard time thinking about trying to find a positive. A year ago, I was like, oh, this is my superpower. I can't find a positive in this. This is horrible. This is the worst thing that has ever happened. And well, in my lifetime, of course. And then I was talking to a friend who was working out, and I was like, this is an opportunity that in my own mind, I was like, this is an opportunity for me to take care of my body and to get into shape, because I was in a relationship that was toxic right before this pandemic, and I was really sore and I was kind of not in the best shape. And I said, you know what? This is a new beginning, and I have the time. I have the time to cook healthy meals and chop up lots of vegetables for salads and hula hoop every day. And I told myself, Talli, you're going to hula hoop every day of this lockdown. And I told myself, no matter what, you're going to get out of bed and you're going to hula hoop. And it was just focusing on that thing every day, to hula hoop every day and put on my favorite music and my favorite songs and hula hoop to that. And it really helped. It helped me physically and it helped my mental health. And any day that I'm feeling like darkness creeping in or just in a bad mood, I'm like, Talli, get off your butt and hula hoop. And it helps. It really does. It does. Like, being active helps. Doing something that you love really helps with mental health. And that's what I've been focusing on. I hula hoop every day, no matter what. Sundays are my day off. Sundays are my snuggle fest days with miso, but I hula hoop every day and I put on whatever, depending on the day, I put on, this lockdown, Blondie has been my music of choice for my hula hooping. Oh gosh, she's got me out of a lot of, I don't know what it is. She's just so inspiring and empowering and awesome and rad and cool, and she just makes me feel happy. So yeah.
So you're still keeping up with it? You're hula hooping every day except Sunday?
Yes, definitely.
That's awesome. So you know what's happening now is Amazon is actually going crazy with everyone going on right now to get their hula hoops, which I'll be doing after this call probably.
A lot of people write me and they're like, "Oh, you're amazing. I can't hula hoop." But guess what? You can do something else. Everyone has something that they love to do or that they're good at. I'm not good at running. I was talking to a friend last night who's gotten big into running, and that's his way of getting out. And I am a horrible runner because I don't have any knees and it's very hard impact on my legs. So that's another thing. You know, you got to find your thing, the thing that makes you feel good. It doesn't have to be hula hooping, and don't feel bad if you can't hula hoop. Also, you can hula hoop. Just get a really big one. That's the key.
That's excellent. All right, Carla, what do our staff have to say?
Yes, so some great comments coming through. And before on our call last week, Talli, you talked about how you have a fan base. I think some of them are in our part of our MPAC family. So someone did comment. But someone said that it's sometimes easier, going back to the standing up for someone. Sometimes it's a lot easier to stand up for someone else versus yourself if you're in a bully situation. And then I do have two questions. One is, when do you think is the right age to teach kids about bullying? Is there such a thing as too young? And then the other question is there a difference between being teased and being bullied?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna have to think about that. The first one's easy. I think it's as early as possible. And I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but for me, kids point out the obvious. They're not mean. They're not born mean. They look at me and they say, "Mommy, look at her. Daddy, she's got no arms. Mommy, she's got pink hair." And 99% of the time, the parent says, "Shh, stop it." Covers their mouth, puts them in their sweater. I don't know, they get awkward, they get weird. All they want to do is hide. And it shows that child that it puts a negative connotation on difference instead of, yeah, everyone is born different. Isn't that awesome? See how she has no arms, but she can still go grocery shopping, or she still goes to the movies with her friends, depending on where we are at the time. But when that happens, and I even had one time, this kid yelled across the parking lot at me, "Ew, look at that." And his brother started laughing and, didn't feel very good, and kept walking into the store. And then, that feeling when you can tell someone's coming up behind you? Well, I looked behind me and I saw that mom coming straight towards me with her son, pulling her son by the wrist. I'm like, uh-oh, he's in trouble. And I couldn't believe my eyes. And the mother said, "Excuse me, my son has something he'd like to say to you." And the little boy looked up from the biggest frown I've ever seen. He said, "I'm sorry." And the mom said, "Do you have something that you'd like to ask the nice lady?" And he said, "Do you have no hands?" And I was wearing a leather jacket at the time, so you couldn't tell. There was no hands hanging out the bottom. So I threw it off for the big reveal, and I said, "No, I don't have any hands, because everyone's born different. Isn't that awesome?" And the kid said, "Yeah, that is awesome." And to me, that kid is going to think different next time he sees someone who's different. He's not going to make fun of them. He's going to maybe ask them a question or maybe say hi. And that's what I love when a parent or a guardian says, "Do you want to go and say hi to her? Look at her pink hair." And then usually if a lot of kids love my pink hair, and so that's kind of a cool story, just a wee icebreaker. You know, don't you love her pink hair? And it just shows kids that it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to wonder why people are different, because I know I look weird. It's okay. I actually love how weird I look and I embrace it, but I want kids at the very youngest age, because my stepdaughters, in my last relationship, I had daughters, and they don't even think twice when they see someone who's different, because they grew up with me, and they grew up seeing me cook them dinner and seeing me get their groceries and read them stories, and see that nothing stops me. And I think that's what we should be teaching our kids. No matter what, nothing should stop you. If you truly want to achieve something, you can do it. Not focusing on how weird people look, because we don't have to talk about how people look all the time.
That's amazing.
Forget the other question.
I forget it too, actually. I was so
I go on tangents a lot. I go on tangents a lot. Sorry, not sorry.
No problem. Hey, yeah, the other question was, is there a difference between being teased and being bullied?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I think so. Like, of course, I tease my friends. I tease my ex-partner. I teased him a lot, and I think teasing comes with love. I think you can tease someone, and you know that they know you love them, and it's what you're saying is not something that's triggering. I think bullying is usually you're not good friends with that person, you're not close with that person, and they don't know that it's coming from love, and they don't know that. Well, they're usually saying what they think is triggering on purpose. I think I just thought of that right now, and I don't know if that's the right answer, but I think because I like to tease, it's fun, and I make fun of myself too. I'll joke about not having hands almost every day because my friends forget. And I think showing the world that you can make fun of yourself is a good thing. And teasing other people about things that aren't sensitive, aren't things that are going to hurt them. What do you think, Nicole? Do you think that's good?
That's a good message. I like how you say it. If you tease with love, because I think we all have to be careful with our words, because words can hurt, right? They can really hurt. But if you're doing it with love, and it comes from a good place, I think that's where the difference is. Yeah. Right? There was a saying that I've heard before. There's always a true word spoken in jest. So I think I always use that and say, as long as it comes from a good place, a little bit of teasing here and there is okay.
It's fun.
Yeah. Talli, I want to ask you, so you found punk rock, you love punk rock, you're a musician yourself. Can you tell us how music has really helped you not only celebrate your differences, but overcome bullying? Like, what does music mean to you? And I love music, so I'm really intrigued about this answer.
Yeah, music for me is an outlet. It's a creative outlet where I can vent about those bullies, vent about those creeps. And I just literally wrote a song on Sunday about creeps that write to me every day, that, they send me messages that are inappropriate and not called for and not asked for. And I literally wrote a song about it on Sunday, because I'm just like, it's a place that I can vent those feelings, and I don't have to take it out on people, which I wouldn't anyways, but it's a good creative outlet. And I think if you listen to a lot of songs, especially punk rock, it's a lot of issues that are hard to talk about, and people use music as a creative outlet to get those feelings out. And it was funny because all the songs I've written while in pandemic, I'm like, oh my gosh, like none of them are sparkles and rainbows. They're all about pretty heavy issues that I've been dealing with, but I think that's okay. And it also shows people that, they listen to hopefully will listen to my lyrics and relate to them. And maybe through song, I can help people as well. Well, that's the whole point, that I can have a creative outlet and help people at the same time. So it's pretty cool.
I love that. And I know that you've got a reveal coming up soon, because you're in a new band and you're doing all your writing. So we're definitely going to be watching for that. We'll be tuning in. And I just want to thank you so much for being with us today, sharing your story, sharing your positivity. I'm really going to take away the light, whether it be at the end of the tunnel far or maybe just Friday. That's okay, right? I think that's really great. Little bits of ways to keep you motivated. And I might even try the hula hoop thing. I don't know. And
Try it.
Blondie.
Try it. Blondie, oh, it's so good. But honestly, Nicole, I want to say thank you for having me. This has been really awesome. And thank you for doing this for your employees as well, because I think it's really cool to just see the president caring about things, because a lot of companies as big as yours, you don't really know. You don't really know what if your boss cares, because they're your boss. So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, thank you for doing this, and thank you for having me and getting me into a pretty pink dress, and I put my favorite lightning bolt in. I feel like myself today.
I
So.
love it. Love your background. So for those of you who see me in Teams meetings, we're joking with Talli. She's allowed me permission, right? To use your background, because
Yes,
I do love your
they
background.
stole it from me while I was out of the screenshot, but yes.
Well, you were Mizo the cat. You were scolding Mizo the cat to tell him
Yes.
not to be eating your plant while wintering, and he hasn't. I haven't seen him make an appearance, so I think we're good.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So thank you so much. It was so lovely. I love talking with you on Friday. We talked about you all weekend, and I know all of our staff are going to be talking about you. So you're so inspirational. Thank you for not being a victim, and thank you for doing the work that you do, both inspiring people through your music and then talking to kids in schools about such an important topic.
It's my pleasure. And I just want to say, for anyone who's watching, feel free to check out my website, talliosborne.com, and my Instagram and all the social media channels, and write to me if you want and ask me questions, and maybe get me into your kids' schools virtually somehow, because I have not spoke at one school since this pandemic, and I know the kids need me. So yeah.
That's great. You'll hear. I know our staff. You're going to hear, definitely. So thank you so much, and thank you all of you for tuning in.